Have you ever looked in the mirror and wondered when things started to change? Not just your reflection, but how you feel about love, touch, and closeness? You're not alone. Many women over 60 quietly carry questions about intimacy, but almost no one talks about it. Doctors focus on blood pressure. Magazines focus on anti-aging creams. But who talks about the soft ache of longing, the desire to be touched, held, seen, without shame? You've lived a full life, and yet this part of it feels like a secret no one warned you about. Let's change that today. This video is for every woman who still craves connection, but feels invisible. Because you are not done feeling, you are not done loving, and you are absolutely not done being loved in return. If this message already speaks to your heart, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to Elder Radiance. We create gentle, honest conversations for women over 60, because your voice, your feelings, and your journey deserve to be heard. Let's walk this path together with grace and truth. The intimacy gap. After 60, many women begin to feel like intimacy is something that belonged to another life. A life filled with stolen kisses, long hugs in the kitchen, warm hands resting on thighs beneath the dinner table. But somewhere along the way, between the health checkups, the changing body, the quiet of retirement, and the unspoken silence between partners, that closeness fades, not because we don't want it, but because no one told us how much we'd miss it, and even fewer told us how to talk about it when it's gone. According to the National Poll on Healthy Aging, over 40% of women aged 65 to 80 say they're still interested in intimacy, but most feel uncomfortable discussing it with anyone. Even with their doctors, even with their spouses, even with themselves, society often paints a picture of older women as caregivers or grandmothers, but rarely as sensual beings, as if passion has an expiration date, as if tenderness stops mattering when the kids move out or the wrinkles set in. But the truth is, our need for connection doesn't vanish with time. It changes, it deepens, it softens, but it never disappears. For many women, the hardest part is not the physical change, it's the emotional loneliness that grows when intimacy becomes a taboo topic, when touch becomes rare, when affection turns into routine, and when partners stop seeing each other with curious eyes. Some of us have lost partners and feel like that chapter is closed. Some of us are still married but feel oceans apart. And some of us are starting new relationships, but carry fear, shame, or hesitation about this next chapter. Here's the truth no one says out loud. Just because the world forgets to see us, doesn't mean we've forgotten how to feel. Your body still remembers warmth, your heart still craves presence, and your soul still knows how to love. That's why this conversation matters. Because the first step toward rediscovering intimacy is giving yourself permission to want it again. Without guilt, without shame, and without apology. The truth about desire. Let's clear up a myth right now. Desire doesn't just vanish after menopause, it shifts. And sometimes it hides beneath layers of stress, hormone changes, fatigue, and emotional disconnection. But it is still there. You are still capable of wanting, still capable of arousal, still capable of deep, meaningful intimacy that satisfies not only the body, but the heart. The confusion often starts when women notice they don't feel the same spark they once did. What used to come so naturally now takes longer, or feels different, or isn't there at all. And that can make you question yourself. Am I broken? Is it gone for good? Do I even care anymore? But what many women don't realize is that hormonal shifts, especially the drop in estrogen and testosterone, can reduce natural lubrication, blood flow, and even the intensity of sensations. That doesn't mean your body is failing you. It just means your body is changing, and it needs new language, new rhythms, and sometimes new tools to awaken what's still alive inside. Desire after 60 becomes less about urgency and more about invitation, less about performance, more about connection. It may not spark like it used to, but it can still glow deeply and beautifully if you give it time, patience, and attention. You are not alone if you've gone weeks or even months without feeling turned on, but that doesn't mean it's over. In fact, some women experience a powerful revival of desire later in life, when the pressure to please or perform fades, and they finally feel safe enough to explore what truly feels good for them. This stage of life invites you to rewrite the rules of intimacy, to let go of old expectations, to honor the slower pace, the tenderness, the new preferences, and to embrace that your sexuality isn't defined by youth. It's defined by awareness, comfort, curiosity, and care. Desire after 60 isn't gone. It's simply waiting for you to notice it again, and trust it is absolutely worth rediscovering. Emotional connection. Physical intimacy doesn't begin in the bedroom. It begins in the heart, and for women over 60, emotional connection becomes the true foundation of any meaningful intimacy. You may notice that quick gestures or surface-level flirtation don't move you the way they once did. That's not a flaw, that's wisdom. You've lived long enough to know that real closeness starts with safety. It starts with feeling seen. It starts with trust. When emotional intimacy fades, the body follows. It's harder to feel open, playful, or responsive when you're carrying emotional weight, like unresolved tension, unspoken resentment, or a quiet feeling of being unloved. These feelings build slowly over time, and yet they can be released through honest, loving communication. So many women stay silent. They assume their needs are too much, that they should be grateful for companionship alone. That wanting more affection, more listening, more tenderness is selfish. But wanting emotional intimacy is not selfish. It's sacred. You deserve a partner who listens with care, who learns your changing rhythms, who doesn't make you feel embarrassed for needing time, warmth, or affirmation. If you're single, that connection begins with yourself. How do you speak to your own heart? Do you offer it kindness? Do you let it feel without judgment? Do you treat your emotional needs as worthy or as something to hide? Many women rediscover intimacy in new ways later in life, through deep friendship, through journaling, through therapy, or even through slow, soulful touch that begins with self-compassion. Because when you build emotional intimacy with yourself, you become more open to receiving it from others. The truth is, emotional connection is not a luxury. It is a requirement. It is the soil in which physical closeness grows. And after 60, it becomes even more precious. Not because we are fragile, but because we've learned what truly matters. Physical changes. Let's talk about the body, softly, honestly, and without shame. Because after 60, your body tells a different story than it used to, and that story deserves to be heard with compassion. One of the most common changes women notice is vaginal dryness. It's not something to be embarrassed about. It's simply a natural result of decreased estrogen, and it's more common than you might think. This change can make intimacy uncomfortable or even painful, leading many women to quietly avoid touch altogether. But here's the good news. There are gentle, effective solutions, from over-the-counter lubricants to hormone-free vaginal moisturizers to prescription treatments. There are ways to restore comfort and confidence. The first step is giving yourself permission to seek help, because your comfort matters. Other women notice a shift in skin sensitivity, slower arousal, or changes in muscle tone. Again, these aren't flaws. They're just part of the body's evolution. And when approached with patience and curiosity, they don't have to be obstacles. They can become invitations to explore new types of touch, new positions, new sensations, all at your pace. And let's be honest, mobility, energy, and even past surgeries or health issues can affect how we experience closeness. But that doesn't mean you can't have fulfilling intimacy. It just means the definition expands. It means redefining what closeness looks like. Maybe it's more about long massages, or slow skin-on-skin connection, or soft laughter under shared blankets. For women in same-sex relationships, these changes are just as valid and deserve just as much care. Intimacy after 60 is not about fitting into a mold. It's about creating a new one that fits you. And if you're single or healing from loss, it's still important to honor your body's changing needs. You can explore pleasure, comfort, and sensuality on your own terms. Your body is still worthy of gentleness, attention, and joy, and you deserve to feel at home in it, exactly as it is today. The need for communication. One of the most powerful tools for restoring intimacy after 60 isn't a product or a prescription, it's communication. Yet for many women, talking openly about desire, comfort, or emotional needs still feels taboo, even with a lifelong partner. You may worry about hurting someone's feelings. You may feel awkward asking for something different. Or maybe you've grown so used to staying quiet that you've forgotten what it feels like to ask for more. But here's the truth. No partner can read your mind, and no relationship can thrive in silence. Healthy intimacy isn't just about the physical act. It's about feeling safe enough to say, "This doesn't feel good," or "I miss being close," or even, "I'm not sure how to start, but I want us to feel connected again." These conversations don't have to be dramatic. They can start with a quiet moment, a hand held across a cup of tea, a soft question like, "How have you been feeling about us lately?" And if you're not in a relationship, communication still matters. It's about how you speak to yourself. Are you dismissing your desires, judging your body? Or are you creating space to listen, truly listen, to what your heart and body are asking for now? For couples, especially those who've been together for decades, talking about intimacy can feel vulnerable. But vulnerability is not weakness. It's the doorway to closeness. It's what turns routine into renewal, and what brings two people back to each other, not just as partners, but as lovers, companions, and equals. If you find the words hard to say out loud, write them in a letter. Share a memory of something that once made you feel loved, or even play a song that says what your voice can't. There are many ways to communicate, and every single one opens the door a little wider. Rediscovering touch. And after 60, sometimes the most meaningful intimacy isn't found in the bedroom. It's found in the simple, quiet moments of closeness we often overlook. The brush of fingers while walking through the garden, the weight of a hand resting gently on your back, the way a hug lingers just a second longer than usual. These aren't small things. They are signals, from one soul to another, that say, "I see you, I'm with you, you still matter to me." As we age, many women begin to miss not just sex, but touch itself. The human need to be held doesn't fade with time. In fact, for many, it becomes even more vital. Because in a world that often feels rushed or lonely, physical connection reminds us that we are still here, still lovable, still alive in this body. For women in relationships, this may mean slowing down, returning to the basics, holding hands without expectation, giving each other soft foot rubs at the end of the day, lying together and breathing in sync. No words needed. For single women, rediscovering touch may look different, but it's just as healing. It could be treating yourself to a gentle massage, wearing fabrics that feel soothing on your skin, or even practicing self-touch with intention, not just for pleasure, but to remind your body that it is still yours. Touch is one of the most primal forms of communication. It says what words can't. It quiets the nervous system, it invites the heart to open, and it reminds the soul that it's not alone. So whether you're with a partner or walking this chapter solo, you deserve to be touched with tenderness. You deserve to feel warmth, comfort, and connection, in whatever form brings you peace, because you are not done being held, and you are absolutely not done being cherished. Your body is still worthy. Somewhere along the line, many women are taught that aging makes them less desirable, that laugh lines are something to hide, that softness is shameful, that stretch marks, sagging skin, and slowing down are signs they're no longer beautiful, or worse, no longer worthy of touch. But those are lies. Lies that sell products, lies that feed silence, lies that keep women over 60 from feeling proud of the bodies that have carried them through life. Your body is not broken. It is not past its prime. It is a living, breathing journal of every story you've survived, every hug you've given, every child you've held, every heartbreak you've healed, every sunrise you've witnessed. This body, with all its changes, is still yours, still sacred, still worthy of love, attention, and care. You don't need to look younger to feel desirable. You need to feel seen, to feel respected, to feel safe in your skin, just as it is. Sometimes that begins with how you speak to yourself, Do you touch your body with kindness or criticism? Do you allow yourself to admire the curves and lines that make you you? Do you dress in clothes that make you feel lovely, not for anyone else, but for your own joy? And if you're with a partner, intimacy begins when you believe you are still worth being desired, when you stop apologizing for how your body has changed, and start embracing the fact that real connection isn't about perfection, it's about presence. You have not aged out of intimacy. You have earned your way into a deeper version of it, one that honors your wisdom, your gentleness, and your right to feel cherished. Your body is not something to be fixed. It is something to be loved. Every wrinkle, every inch, every day. If no one's told you this lately, let me say it now. You are not alone. You are not invisible, and you are not finished discovering new forms of love, warmth, and joy. Intimacy after 60 isn't about reliving the past. It's about opening to the present. It's about finding connection in new rhythms, new languages, and new understandings of your beautiful, evolving self. Whether you're in a relationship or on your own, whether you've loved deeply or are still waiting to be loved fully, know this. You are still worthy of tenderness, still worthy of desire, still worthy of touch, and always, always worthy of love. Thank you for spending this time with us today. If this message touched your heart, please share it with a friend who needs to hear it. And don't forget to subscribe to Elder Radiance for more gentle, honest videos about life after 60. Your journey matters, your voice matters, and we're honored to walk beside you every beautiful step of the way.